There comes a time in life when you realize that reacting emotionally to every situation is draining your energy, stealing your peace, and giving your power away. Acting as if you are emotionless doesn't mean you stop feeling or caring. It means you learn to respond with strength instead of reacting with weakness. It is about mastering your inner world so that no outside chaos can control your inner calm. Embrace inner stillness by first understanding that stillness is not the absence of life, movement, or feelings. It is the presence of deep inner balance. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, and endless distractions, finding that quiet space within yourself becomes one of the most powerful acts of self-mastery. It is in that silence where true transformation begins. When you stop allowing every little thing to disturb your inner calm, you start to rise above the chaos that once controlled you. Inner stillness is a choice. It is the decision to no longer allow the outside world to determine your inner peace. Every day, you are faced with situations that demand your attention, emotions, and energy. Some of them matter deeply, while others are nothing but passing clouds in the vast sky of your life. Yet, so often, we react to those passing clouds as if they were storms. We give away our peace over words said in anger, over opinions that do not define us, over moments that will be forgotten tomorrow. To embrace stillness, you must learn to pause before you react. That pause is your power. In that space between what happens and how you respond, you find your strength. Stillness does not mean you stop feeling joy, love, or passion. It means you stop allowing negativity to invade your inner home. When someone tries to provoke you, you no longer rise to the bait. When circumstances turn against you, you no longer collapse emotionally. You breathe, you center yourself, and you choose your response with wisdom, not impulse. Think of a calm lake early in the morning. The water reflects everything around it clearly because it is still. Now imagine the same lake when the wind is wild and the water is disturbed. It reflects nothing clearly, only chaos. Your mind works the same way. When you are constantly stirred by emotions, you cannot see things for what they are. But when you practice inner stillness, you see the truth more clearly. You hear your intuition more loudly. You act from a place of strength rather than from woundedness. This kind of stillness is not born overnight. It is cultivated through practice, patience, and the decision to value your peace more than your need to always react. Many people believe that if they don't react, they are weak. The opposite is true. It takes tremendous strength to remain calm in a storm, to remain quiet in an argument, to remain centered when everything around you is pulling you off balance. That is the strength you are being called to embrace. When you choose stillness, you begin to notice that not everything in life requires your energy. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone, to defend every decision, or to respond to every comment. Your peace becomes more valuable than your pride. And slowly, you start to realize that the world outside of you may never change, but your response to it can. You cannot control how others behave, what they say, or how they see you, but you can control the inner environment of your heart and mind. That is where your power lies. Practice this daily. When you wake up, before checking your phone, sit with yourself for a few quiet moments. Breathe deeply. Let your thoughts come and go without chasing them. Tell yourself, today, my peace is my priority. Throughout the day, whenever something challenges your emotions, pause. Ask yourself, does this truly matter? Will this matter a year from now? Do I want to give my precious energy to this? Most of the time, the answer will be no. And in that no, you reclaim your strength. Embracing stillness also means forgiving more easily, because holding on to grudges disturbs your inner calm. It means speaking less when silence serves you better. It means observing rather than reacting, allowing others to be who they are without letting their chaos become yours. The more you practice this, the more others will notice a change in you. They may say you've become distant or cold, but what you've truly become is powerful. Power is not loud, it is calm. It does not need to shout, it simply stands firm. Inner stillness gives you clarity, focus, and a kind of quiet confidence that no one can take away. In that stillness, you begin to attract peace, opportunities, and relationships that align with your energy. You become like the calm lake again, clear, reflective, and beautiful. Embracing inner stillness is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself because it allows you to live life on your own terms, no longer pulled by the strings of chaos, but guided by the steady rhythm of your own soul. Detach from external chaos by first realizing that the noise of the world is endless. There will always be opinions, conflicts, demands, and distractions trying to pull your attention in every direction. The moment you make peace your priority, you begin to see how much of your life has been consumed by things that were never truly yours to carry. Detachment is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about creating a healthy space between your inner world and the storms outside of you. It is about understanding that not every battle is meant to be fought. Not every argument deserves a response, and not every situation is worth your peace. When you detach from external chaos, you take your power back. Each day, you are bombarded by the energy of others, their moods, their judgments, their expectations. Without even realizing it, you absorb their stress, their anger, their urgency. Before long, you find yourself drained, tense, and reacting to things that do not matter in the bigger picture of your life. Detachment teaches you to observe without absorbing. It allows you to stand in your own calmness while the world continues to spin. Imagine standing in the center of a busy street where cars rush by, horns blare, and people shout. If you try to stop every car, respond to every noise, or follow every distraction, you will exhaust yourself. But if you stand still and watch it pass, you remain unharmed. Detachment is that stillness in the middle of noise. Many people confuse detachment with avoidance, but they are not the same. Avoidance runs away. Detachment stays, but does not become entangled. It means you can be in the world without letting define your worth or disturb your inner foundation. You can care deeply and still stay centered. You can be compassionate without carrying burdens that are not yours to bear. Detachment is an act of self-respect. It is saying to yourself, my peace matters more than their chaos. One of the most powerful ways to practice detachment is to stop chasing control over what is uncontrollable. You cannot control how others think, how they speak, or what they choose to believe. You cannot control the outcome of every situation. But you can control where you place your focus. Every time you withdraw your attention from drama and direct it towards something that nourishes your soul, you strengthen your inner self. This does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop sacrificing your peace to please them or to fix what was never yours to fix. When you begin to detach, some people will misunderstand you. They may say you have changed, become distant, or no longer care. But the truth is, you are choosing to care differently. You are no longer giving your energy to things that deplete you. You are learning that love and chaos cannot coexist for long. The more chaos you allow into your life, the further you drift from your own clarity. Detachment brings you back to center. It gives you space to breathe, to think, and to decide from a place of calm rather than from fear or pressure. Detachment also means letting go of the need to always respond. Silence can be a form of power. You do not have to explain yourself to everyone. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to match the energy of those who thrive on conflict. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away quietly. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is choosing your well-being over your ego. It is understanding that your peace is too precious to be thrown into every storm. Practice detachment daily by checking in with yourself. Where is my energy going today? Is this worth my peace? Am I reacting because I truly care or because I feel pressured to? With every honest answer, you reclaim a little more of yourself. Spend more time in places that restore you. Nature, quiet moments. Creative spaces, meaningful conversations. These are the environments that help you stay grounded even when the world outside feels restless. Over time, detachment becomes a form of strength that no one can easily shake. You stop being controlled by circumstances and start living from your own core. You begin to realize that the world will always have noise, but you do not have to live inside it. You can choose to rise above it, to observe it, and to navigate through it with a calm heart. That is the gift of detachment, the freedom to live with presence, clarity, and peace, no matter how loud life becomes. Mastering the art of observation is one of the most transformative skills you can ever develop because it teaches you to pause before you react and to truly see things as they are, not as your emotions or assumptions would have you believe. Observation is about awareness of your surroundings, of people, of patterns, and most importantly, of yourself. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, to judge, and to respond, the one who observes stands apart. This person moves with wisdom because they take the time to understand before acting. To observe is to collect truth quietly while others are busy creating noise. When you observe, you step into a place of power. Instead of being dragged into every argument, pulled by every opinion, or blinded by every sudden event, you become the calm presence that notices everything and absorbs only what is necessary. You stop being controlled by what is loud and start focusing on what is real. Think of how many misunderstandings, mistakes, and regrets could have been avoided if only there had been a moment observation before the reaction. That moment is what creates the difference between chaos and clarity. To master this art, you must train yourself to listen more than you speak, to pause more than you rush, and to watch without immediately forming conclusions. Observation does not mean judgment. It is not about labeling everything as good or bad, right or wrong. It is about seeing things for what they truly are, without the filter of your fears, desires, or past experiences. For example, when someone is upset and speaks harshly, your first impulse may be to defend yourself or match their tone. But if you choose to observe, you might notice their body language, their choice of words, their eyes. Maybe you see pain, fear, or insecurity behind their anger. That moment of quiet awareness allows you to respond with understanding rather than conflict. This is the power of observation. It reveals the layers beneath the surface. Observation also extends to your own thoughts and emotions. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to every feeling as if it is a command. But when you become an observer of yourself, you start to notice your triggers, your habits, your patterns. You catch yourself before you repeat an old mistake. You notice when your heart is racing, your shoulders are tense, your voice is rising, and you pause. That pause is where growth begins. It gives you a choice. You can either continue as before or choose a wiser path. The art of observation turns you into a student of life, constantly learning, evolving, and refining your way of being. In relationships, observation is priceless. It teaches you to notice who truly supports you and who only shows up when they need something. It reveals patterns in how people treat you, what they value, and where you may have ignored red flags because you were too focused on words instead of actions. People can say anything, but their behavior tells the real story. Observation helps you read that story clearly without the noise of wishful thinking. It protects you from disappointment and empowers you to set boundaries without bitterness. The beauty of observation is that it does not require force or control. It is a gentle strength, a quiet awareness that works in the background of your mind. You can be in a room full of people and simply notice. You can be in a conversation and choose to listen more deeply instead of rushing to reply. This quiet practice builds a deeper connection with reality. You begin to see opportunities that others miss because they are too distracted. You begin to sense changes in energy, subtle shifts in tone, and hidden intentions behind smiles. Observation is your silent guide, pointing you to what is real and away from what is false. To master this art, practice being fully present. When you walk, notice the colors, the sounds, the details you often overlook. When you listen to someone, really listen. Not to answer, but to understand. When emotions rise within you, step back mentally and watch them, like clouds passing across the sky. They are not permanent, and they are not you. They are simply passing experiences. The more you practice this, the more power you reclaim over your life. Over time, you will discover that observation makes you stronger, calmer, and wiser. It allows you to navigate life with more grace, because you are no longer reacting blindly. You are responding with clarity. People may wonder why you do not rush to speak, why you seem unaffected by drama, why your steps are steady when others stumble. It is because you have learned to see before you act, to understand before you decide, and to pause before you engage. That is the quiet mastery that turns ordinary moments into profound lessons and chaotic situations into stepping stones for growth. Observation is not just a skill. It is a way of living, one that invites peace, wisdom, and true power into your life. Strength is silent because true power does not need to shout to be seen or heard. It moves quietly, yet its presence is undeniable. In a world where so many people equate loudness with strength, where voices are raised, arguments are pursued, and attention is demanded, real strength works in the background, calm and unshakable. It is not the one that reacts first, but the one that endures, that stands firm even when everything around it is trying to shake its foundation. Silence does not mean weakness. It means you have reached a place where noise no longer validates you and chaos no longer pulls you in. There is a special kind of dignity in those who carry their strength quietly. They do not need to announce their victories or broadcast their struggles. They know their worth is not tied to how many people recognize their resilience. They choose to show their power through their actions, their patience, and their refusal to let outside circumstances define their inner world. Think about nature. The tallest tree does not scream to prove it is the tallest. It simply grows. The mountain does not boast of its height, yet it stands unmoved through storms. That is the essence of silent strength. Steady, constant, and undeniable. Silent strength also shows in the ability to walk away. It is easy to fight, argue, or force things to go your way. But it takes far more power to step back when something disturbs your peace, to remain composed when provoked, to resist the urge to prove a point that does not need proving. Walking away is not losing. It is choosing your well-being over temporary satisfaction. It is deciding that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every voice deserves your answer. This kind of strength is deeply misunderstood by those who thrive on conflict, but it is what sets apart the truly powerful from the merely loud. Another dimension of silent strength is endurance. Life will test you. It will throw challenges, heartbreaks, and disappointments your way. Anyone can appear strong when things are easy, But real strength is revealed in how you carry yourself when things fall apart. Do you let the world see you crumble, or do you quietly rebuild one piece at a time? Silent strength is waking up after a sleepless night and still showing up. It is choosing to heal without broadcasting your pain. It is deciding that your story will not be defined by your wounds, but by the way you rise from them. There is also a power in listening more than speaking. Those who possess silent strength know that not every situation requires their voice, and not every opinion deserves a reply. They listen to understand, not just to respond. They watch patterns, read the energy in a room, and choose their words with care. This makes their presence even more impactful because when they do speak, it carries weight. Their silence builds authority, and their rare words become meaningful. Silent strength often means being misunderstood. People might think you are cold, distant, or indifferent. In reality, you have simply learned to conserve your energy for what truly matters. You have realized that proving yourself to everyone is a game you do not need to play. You know who you are, and that is enough. This kind of strength is deeply rooted in self-awareness. It is knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to hold your tongue, when to push forward and when to step aside. It is about choosing peace over noise, growth over ego, and purpose over popularity. To cultivate silent strength, you must first let go of the need for constant validation. Stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop trying to convince everyone to see things your way. Instead, focus on building your inner world so strong that the outer world cannot easily disturb it. Take care of your mind, your boundaries, and your energy. Practice patience when life feels slow. Practice grace when people test you. Practice presence when the noise around you grows louder. Over time, this strength becomes your anchor. It allows you to remain steady in relationships, in challenges, in moments of uncertainty. You no longer need to announce your worth. It is felt. You no longer need to prove your resilience. It is seen in your calmness. And you no longer fear being underestimated because you know that silent strength always reveals itself at the right time, in the right way. It is not about hiding. It is about moving in such a way that your actions, your energy, and your presence speak louder than anything you could ever say. Strength that is silent is the strength that lasts. It is not built on noise or temporary applause. It is built on self-respect, patience, and inner power. When you master it, you stop reacting to every ripple in the water and start flowing like the river itself. Quiet, steady, and unstoppable. Choose your battles wisely because not every fight deserves your time, energy, or peace. Life will constantly present you with situations that demand a reaction, people who provoke you, and challenges that try to pull you into chaos. If you try to fight them all, you will exhaust yourself and lose sight of what truly matters. The key is not to avoid every conflict, but to discern which ones are worth engaging in and which ones are simply distractions. Wisdom lies in knowing when to stand your ground and when to walk away without saying a word. Every time you choose a battle, you are also choosing what to invest your energy in. Energy is your most valuable resource. It fuels your mind, your emotions, and your future. If you spend it on petty arguments, unnecessary drama, or situations that do not lead to growth, you deplete yourself for nothing. Many people get trapped in endless cycles of reaction because their pride refuses to let go. They want to be right, they want to win, they want to be heard. But being right is not the same as being at peace. Winning an argument often comes at the cost of inner harmony. The wiser choice is to ask yourself, will this matter in the long run? Is this worth the emotional toll it will take? If the answer is no, let it go. Choosing your battles wisely also means understanding your priorities. You cannot fight for everything and everyone at the same time. There are moments when silence is more powerful than words, and withdrawal is more impactful than resistance. When you focus on what truly aligns with your values, you stop scattering your energy and start directing it toward what actually builds your life. For example, you may encounter criticism from someone who does not even know your story or your struggles. Do you spend hours defending yourself? Or do you keep building quietly until your results speak louder than your defense ever could? Often your silence will be the strongest statement. This principle applies not only to conflicts with others, but also to the internal battles you fight every day. You argue with your doubts, your fears, your insecurities. Some of these battles are necessary because they push you to grow, but many of them are born from overthinking and attachment to control. Choosing your battles means knowing when to challenge your inner critic and when to simply let the thought pass. Not every thought deserves your attention just because it appeared. The more selective you are, the more mental space you create for clarity, creativity, and peace. In relationships, choosing your battles can save connections that matter and release the ones that drain you. Not every disagreement needs to turn into a war. Sometimes letting someone have the last word is not losing. It is preserving your peace. At other times, standing firm and setting a boundary is the only way to protect your well-being. The wisdom lies in reading the moment. Is this conflict leading to understanding or only to more division? Are you trying to solve a problem or feed your ego? Your answer determines whether the battle is worth it. People often believe that constantly fighting shows strength, but real strength is measured by restraint. It takes far more courage to walk away from meaningless conflict than to dive into it just to prove a point. When you choose your battles, you are not surrendering. You are strategizing. You are protecting your future from being consumed by temporary storms. Life will always bring storms, but not all of them are meant to be confronted head on. Some are meant to be observed, endured, and allowed to pass. The practice of choosing your battles also develops emotional maturity. You stop reacting from impulse and start responding from wisdom. You learn to pause, breathe, and think before you engage. You understand that some people argue not to find truth, but to feed their own emptiness, and no amount of reasoning will change that. Your calmness becomes your shield, your silence becomes your strength, and your focus becomes your weapon. This is how you protect your energy and channel it into building a meaningful life. Over time, you will notice that your world becomes quieter, not because problems disappear, but because your priorities have shifted. You no longer need to attend every argument you are invited to. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth in every situation. You save your fire for the places that truly need your light. And in doing so, you become more powerful, not less. You walk through life with a sense of control because you understand that your attention is your greatest asset, and not everyone deserves access to it. Choosing your battles wisely is a form of self-respect. It is the decision to rise above noise and focus on growth. It is understanding that your life is too valuable to be spent fighting for things that do not move you forward. The more you practice it, the more peace you will create and the stronger you will become. Not because you fought everything, but because you learned the art of letting go. Respond. Don't react is a principle that separates those who live with intention from those who live on impulse. Reaction is immediate, emotional, and often regrettable. Response is deliberate, thoughtful, and rooted in self-control. The difference may seem small in the moment, but it can change the entire direction of a conversation, a relationship, or even your life. When you react, you hand over your power to the situation or person that triggered you. When you respond, you remain the one in control, choosing your words and actions with clarity rather than chaos. Life will constantly test your patience, your boundaries, and your emotions. Someone may insult you, a situation may disappoint you, or circumstances may shift unexpectedly. Your first instinct might be to snap, defend yourself, or retaliate. This is the pull of reaction. It comes from the raw, unfiltered place inside you that wants immediate release. But the moment you pause, take a breath and ask yourself, what is the best way to handle this? You move from reaction to response. This simple pause is powerful. It creates space between the event and your action, and within that space lies your freedom to choose. Reacting often leads to regret. How many times have you said something in anger that you wished you could take back? How many decisions were made in the heat of the moment that later felt unwise? Reaction is like throwing fuel on a fire. It may feel satisfying for a second, but it usually makes the situation worse. Response, on the other hand, is like water on the flames. It cools the moment, brings perspective, and often prevents unnecessary damage. It does not mean you avoid addressing the issue. It means you approach it from a place of balance rather than turmoil. Responding requires awareness, and awareness comes from self-observation. Start by paying attention to your triggers. Notice what makes your heart race, your voice rise, or your hands tighten. These physical signals are often the body's way of saying, pause here. In that pause, you can choose how to express yourself without letting the emotion control the message. For example, if someone criticizes you unfairly, reacting may lead to shouting or shutting down. Responding may look like calmly stating your perspective, setting a boundary, or even choosing silence if that serves the moment better. Response is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion. The practice of responding over reacting also protects your relationships, in friendships, in love, at work, and within family. Misunderstandings and conflicts are inevitable. But how you handle them determines whether they deepen connection or create distance. A reaction might turn a small disagreement into a full-blown argument. A response can turn the same disagreement into a conversation that leads to understanding. People feel safer and more respected around someone who takes the time to respond rather than lash out. It builds trust because it shows you are in control of yourself even when emotions run high. Responding also shapes your inner world. When you react constantly, you live in a state of reactivity, always on edge, always pulled by what is happening outside of you. But when you respond, you start to live intentionally. You stop letting external chaos dictate your mood or decisions. You develop emotional resilience because you are no longer at the mercy of every event or opinion. You start to own your energy. Over time, this creates a calm strength that others can feel, even if you do not say much. There will be times when silence is your best response. Not every provocation deserves your energy. There will also be times when speaking firmly and clearly is the right choice. The key is that both come from a place of conscious decision, not from being hijacked by your emotions. This is where patience becomes your ally. A few deep breaths, a moment of reflection, or even walking away before responding can prevent countless regrets. It is not about suppressing your feelings. It is about channeling them in a way that serves you rather than harms you. To develop this habit, practice slowing down in small, everyday moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when an email annoys you, when a loved one says something that stings. Pause. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want from this? Will my reaction create that outcome? Most of the time, the answer is no. Responding will get you closer to peace, progress, and self-respect than any outburst ever could. This practice will not make you emotionless. It will make you powerful. because you are no longer driven by temporary feelings but by lasting values. Respond, don't react is more than advice. It is a way of living that honors your peace, protects your energy, and shapes your destiny. The world will always have triggers, but you are not here to be triggered by everything. You are here to rise above the noise, to choose your battles, and to move with intention. The more you master this, the more life begins to feel lighter. You no longer waste energy on things that do not matter, and you start to respond only to what aligns with who you truly are becoming. That is where your real power begins.